And welcome back to Varsity Sports Now. Well, with little time remaining in the high school track and field season, the chances to qualify for a spot at the North Dakota and South Dakota state meets are becoming more and more limited. And here to talk about that final state meet push for area track and field athletes is our own Alex Heinert. And Alex, opportunities are running out this spring, aren't they?
Yeah, time is running short. We've got North Dakota State coming up next weekend, the 23rd and 24th of May. South Dakota State track and field meet the following week. So really, most of these teams just a meet or two left to try and get their athletes qualified for state.
Oh, this past week, a number of top performances to talk about from a variety of meets, including the Metro Conference meet at Howard Wood Field. Lots of great competition on display in that one.
Yeah, that's right. Again, this Metro meet new this year. You've got 4 Sioux Falls schools in Brandon Valley on display, and that's a lot of great talent in the region in those 5 schools here. And on the boys' side especially, we saw some great performances. Jack Lemke of Roosevelt, again, just continuing to set the bar in the discus. He goes 198 feet 3 inches. He's getting closer and closer to that mark of 211 feet set back in 1969, a state track and field meet record by George Amundsen of Aberdeen Central. He's not quite there yet, but if conditions are right, that might be in play in a couple weeks at Howard Wood. Some of the sprinters were on display as well. David Mulba of Roosevelt winning the 100 and the 200 over Lincoln's Adam Belhaj. Both of those races he wins by just a 1/10 of a second. So that's going to be a fun race to watch as the meets kind of roll on toward that state final. In the 400, Belhaj gets a little revenge. He beats Cam Holmes of Brandon Valley by also a 1/10 of a second. Both of those guys going under the 50-second mark. So between Holmes of Brandon, Belhaj of Lincoln, and Mulba of Roosevelt, 3 outstanding sprinters at that Metro meet. On the girls' side, by the way, too, we had great performances by Brandon Valley. And this is a team that we haven't talked about much on the girls' side this season, but they win the meets, win the conference in a bit of a surprise. Troy Sturgeon, their head coach, has mentioned that they don't have any particular superstar on that team, but top to bottom, they've got a lot of young girls that are really talented. And they might not win a lot of particular individual events, but as a team, it comes together and it works. They won every relay available except for the 4x1, which O'Gorman took. They're going to be one of those teams that might not win the state AA on the girls' side, but they've got a great opportunity to place in the top 5 behind Sierra Tingle, doing some triple jumping, running the 400. Courtney Bickley's a great quarter miler. Haley Waterfall, just an 8th grader, was 3rd last year in the mile. They had a lot of kids who are going to make some noise at state this year.
Depth is so important, obviously, in a team situation in track and field, so that'll be interesting to see how they do going forward. Well, another marquee meet from this past week was the Black Hills Classic, and that took place in Sturgis, the biggest West River, South Dakota meet on the schedule. Here's what Sturgis Brown head coach Cody King had to say about that.
Every year we have, it's probably like our athletic director Mike Parris says, it's probably the second largest track meet besides Howard Wood. We had 38 teams, 1,700 entrants. In the past, we've had teams from Minnesota, we had North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. We even had some Nebraska teams. So we get teams from all over the 4-state area.
All right, obviously that's a big event with some of the top competition in the central and western half of the state, Alex, but who stood out on Saturday in Sturgis?
You know, when you look at the results, the first thing that comes to the forefront, Quade Ruffin-Hill runs a 10.43 in the 100. That's by far the best mark in the state this season, well under the 10.7s we've seen guys run this year. He's a great athlete. It was a windy day, obviously, and that helps a little bit. He had a little bit of a tailwind helping him along the way, but still, 10.43, that's outstanding.
Yeah, it is a very good time. Well, that makes the 100 at state a little more interesting, I would say.
Yeah, we mentioned Mulba and we mentioned Belhaj. This kid's going to be right in the mix. Other great performances, Luke Whitgriff of Spearfish wins the special 400. Just like Howard Wood, they have special events out there. The 400 is kind of their big thing. He beat a great field in under 50 seconds as well. He'll be in the mix for his AA title. Also on the girls' side, Courtney Dowling. We have to mention Courtney Dowling, another big win for her in the Special 4. She beats Brooke Ireland, Macy Hines of Ipswich, a great field in that as well. They're just a fun meet. We heard, again, 1,700 competitors. It's a big deal out there in Sturgis. A lot of good times going down.
Any other times of note from the weekend from anywhere else?
The other big one in Madison this weekend at the Barker Relay, Sioux Falls Christian goes 3:58.6 in the 4x4. That's the best time of any class this year in state. Those Chargers, they can run, Jay.
They sure can. They're going to be a factor in the team mix, obviously,
Absolutely.
Again this year. All right, great stuff again, Alex. Well, there's always something to think about in the batter's box, especially when you've got runners on base. A lesson on situational hitting coming up next.
Varsity Sports Now, presented by Shield.